Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, everybody. My name is Ben Singer, along with Tina Tyus-Shaw. We are your friendly evening news anchors at WSAV. Happy to be with you here today. We're getting ready. Oh, all right. Yeah, feel free.
Yes.
We love that.
Yes, we certainly do.
We were
Thank
just
you
saying
so
we
much.
have no audience in our studio, so it's very nice to be with you today. So we are getting ready for the final part of the forum program. We get the distinct honor of presenting the inaugural Legacy Leadership and Emerging Leadership Awards to three dynamic community leaders who are on the stage here with us today. The last 2 days have been amazing, and we're getting, to recognize these three outstanding leaders. That's certainly a fitting end to this conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. I echo that. And listen, everyone, it is a pleasure. We are just so excited to be here with you. Thank you for allowing us to be in this space and to share your space. The Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum is pleased to be presenting its inaugural Legacy Leadership Awards to two very deserving honorees, former City of Savannah Mayor Dr. Otis Johnson and Cliff McCurry, the Director of Community Development for Sterling Seacrest Pritchard. Both have made a positive and indelible impact on our community, and their legacies have made Savannah and the region a better place for the citizens of our area. We are so very excited to honor both of them today. This forum will also be presenting its inaugural Emerging Leader Award to Anna Chafin. She's the Executive Director of Bryan County Development Authority, and she has been working tirelessly for many, many years to bring jobs and opportunity to our region. To honor her today, it makes us very excited as well. This forum has created an establishment of emerging leaders together in an innovative environment, simply helping to promote leadership, of course, development, networking, and collaborative teamwork for the betterment of the coastal Georgia region. These recipients we're honoring today, ladies and gentlemen, are servant leaders. They're role models, all of whom have worked tirelessly to help all of us. Again, we say thank you to everyone who has helped this forum become a success, especially our premier sponsors: Georgia Ports Authority, Georgia Power, Georgia Southern University, and Morris Multimedia. Also, Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation. Again, we say thank you.
So let's get started. Here's how our awards program will be conducted. After each recipient is announced, we do have a video that will show on the honoree, and after the video presentation, they'll receive their award from Charles Hill Morris, and they'll get to make a few remarks to you as well. After the awards are presented, and then Tina will have a conversation with the recipients today. We'll ask them a few questions, and we know you're going to love that part of it.
We will get started. Our first recipient of the Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum Inaugural Leadership Legacy Award is Dr. Otis Johnson, former mayor of Savannah.
My name is Otis Johnson. I was born here in Savannah in 1942, and I have spent a lifetime working in this community in various roles, trying to make it better. And I am extremely honored to have been selected to receive this Legacy Award.
Dr. Otis Johnson is my predecessor, my mentor, father figure, a friend, a colleague, and the list goes on and on and on.
He's got a very, very strong moral compass. Everything he does is based on what's right and what's wrong.
I would encourage young people to think broadly, prepare yourself for whatever comes on, and always be a student. Embrace the idea of being a servant leader. My career has prospered because I was involved in serving, in doing things to help. And some of our young people want to skip over all of the hard work that they need to put in place to be recognized, and they want to go straight to the top, and you're not ready. So I say prepare yourself through getting a good education, and secondly, do the work.
one thing I admire so much about Otis. He's such a brilliant, learned man. It is so refreshing to have a person who values education and knowledge to lead us.
To see someone who, bears the last name that I have, but someone who is so accomplished, and then understanding his story. He is someone that is so significant in Savannah's history. I mean, he is the epitome of Savannah, and more importantly, the epitome of Savannah that you can achieve in spite of everything else going wrong. I mean, he was the first black student at Armstrong State College. He was the first African American from Savannah to graduate from the University of Georgia, and then earned a PhD from Brandeis University at a time where PhDs were not easy or so easy to get. He's someone who's led us in terms of the school board, served on the school board. He served on the city council. He led the Youth Futures Authority, which was a game-changing organization here in our community. Otis Johnson's handprints and footprints are throughout the city.
That was a goal to make a difference and to be a difference and to exhibit how you can struggle and overcome obstacles and make a contribution to society.
He has been a strong advocate for the African American community, but honestly, he's really been a more advocate for fairness in the community.
One of the things we need to do to improve is to admit that every group in society does not have an equal chance to succeed, and we need to work on those barriers that are impeding the progress of individuals. I'm the first to say that people have to make their own way through this life, because nobody's going to roll up to you and say, here's a good life. But when you do that, you shouldn't have institutional and structural impediments that block your ability to experience the American dream. I think this is a wonderful opportunity in Savannah to showcase what leadership looks like, what it can be, and what it should be.
It's always important when you have people who see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And so once I think he knew who I was as we traveled, and ultimately I worked for him at the Youth Futures Authority. I got laid off by him, but I got over that. I was last hired, so I was first laid off. But then we served on city council together. And he just felt, and I think it's because as an educator in him, always, kind of teaching moments and just kind of hipping me to things. And then I think most importantly, being the example. And so, I want to be like him. I mean, I want to be someone who can get on a national stage or international stage and be prepared. But more importantly, to be able to keep it real and say the truth, speak truth to power, regardless of who you're around, or regardless of who gets mad. And if you know Dr. Otis Johnson, if he feels it, he'll say it, and if he says it, he can back up why he feels that way.
Otis is so deserving of this Legacy Award because he has a lifetime, 50 years that I'm aware of doing the right thing, always being driven by a strong moral compass, taking that into his leadership roles, and he's an example for all of us.
He is so deserving of that, not only for his personal contributions, but his professional contributions, for his love of Savannah, how he's led coastal Georgia, even as today, as he is making lives better and has made lives better for generations of young people who will never know his name, but yet their lives are better because of his contributions.
Well, first of all, it took me a minute to absorb what I was being told. And after it sunk in, I was truly honored. And when people or organizations think enough of you to honor you or to recognize you, it's a humbling experience. So I was very humbled by the honor bestowed upon me, and I hope that I can be an example, a role model for younger people to know, as I said earlier, that hard work pays off, and if you stick with it, and if you keep your nose clean and keep your nose to the grindstone, you will be rewarded. I don't know where I'm going to be able to put. I'll find a place for it, but it's going to be a challenge. But this is wonderful.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
You want to come up here?
Whatever makes you comfortable, sir. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. As I said in the video, this is a humbling experience to be given one of the inaugural awards for the Leadership Forum. As I was mingling, somebody said, and I know it was lovingly, somebody said, "Are you getting another award?" And what could I say? Yes, I'm getting another award. But on the 26th of this month, I will be 80 years old. So I've been around a while. And from the video, which was extremely well done, and I want to thank Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank Scott for their very gracious comments, but it's been important for me in my hometown to try to make a difference. I was born in 1942 in the midst of Jim Crow. I grew up attending the segregated schools in the city of Savannah and graduated from the Alfred E. Beach High School in 1960. Brown versus the Board of Education was rendered in 1954. That year, I thought, being in the 6th grade, that I would go to the Ramona Riley School, which was located on Waters and Anderson. The next fall, 6 years later, I graduated and the schools were still desegregated. And I had the honor of going to Armstrong in '63 in the spring, in June of '63, and the public schools were desegregated in the fall of '63. That's how long it took for us to break down those barriers. I met Cliff during the time we were working after Armstrong, and we keep crossing paths with him, doing great work and being honored for that work, and people seeing the efforts that I've tried to do and rewarding me for it. But I want to thank Morris Multimedia and the sponsors of this event for giving me this inaugural award, and I want to thank all of you for the support over the years, because no man is an island, and I didn't get here and make the accomplishments that I've made without a whole lot of support. And I want to thank my partner, Chafin, for sticking with me through thin and thin, through thin and whatever it was supposed to be, thick and thin. And I was expecting my brother to be here, Paul, and if any of you know my history, you know that Paul, my brother, has been there for me all of the way. And so for all of the people that have supported me over the years and have led to me being able to receive these various awards, I thank you.
And now it is my privilege to recognize our second Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum Legacy Leadership Award recipient this afternoon, Mr. Cliff McCurry, Director of Community Development for Sterling Seacrest Pritchard.
My name is Cliff McCurry. I've enjoyed a 52-year career in the insurance industry in Savannah. I was totally shocked when I got a phone call from Mike Trainer telling me that I had been selected. I was very, very surprised, and to know that I was being selected as one of two along with Mayor Johnson was quite an honor.
I think Cliff McCurry is so deserving of this inaugural Legacy Leadership Award, quite frankly, because he is the full package. He's a personal friend, he's a family guy, he's a community leader, and he's always thinking about someone else.
Cliff is an inspiration to a lot of people, and he inspires me because of that fact. I watch the impact that he has on other people, and every day he's trying to help somebody, make them better, connect them somewhere. And so it inspires me because I kind of like to do the same thing. So watching somebody who is so impactful in the lives of other people really gets me inspired.
When you think about Cliff McCurry, everyone considers him a friend. He's a mentor to many, and he'll give you advice that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear. But he's considered everyone's buddy and pal. He has had challenges personally and professional, and he shows us all how to rise above, to keep our feet forward, and to remember what's important is the people we love, the community we live in, and the people that we serve. And I think he is just an amazing testament of servant leadership.
I was blessed to have probably the ultimate mentor in Savannah, and Nick Mamalakis, who was one of the greatest leaders this community's ever known. He took me under his wing when I was about 14 years old. My parents divorced, and gave me a job as the mail clerk at the Mercer Insurance Agency, and literally raised me up and through the ranks of the insurance business. One of the things I try to tell young people in looking for mentors, I said, don't look for somebody that you want to be like. Look for somebody that wants you to help you be the best that you can be. And he did that for me in everything he did. He exemplified public service in his everyday life, every day.
Cliff is a consummate promoter. So he promotes his school, he promotes his family, he promotes his business, he promotes his city, he promotes everything that he's involved with, his church. So when you have somebody like that who is a constant promoter, who's a constant can-do guy, you just watch change happen magically around them. And it's all because they're always trying to make everything better.
I always think of him, of what's going to happen next with Cliff McCurry, because he's always been there for Savannah. He's always been there for the businesses, his family, his friends. He's a special gift to our city.
Well, it's incredible to see what's happened in my 52-year career in Savannah. I was chairman of the chamber back in '92 when Broad Street was mostly vacant, and I see what SCAD's been able to do. But of course, all along, since the founding of the colony, the port has been the economic engine for the state, and I'm very proud that my son is director of administration at the Georgia Port Authority. So you can't hold this city back from a shipping standpoint, logistics standpoint. What we have got to do, in my opinion, to make the future brighter, we've got to develop more young leaders. We have to build a value system in our young people that creates pride in the community that they want to be a part of. And that's something we try to do in our company at Sterling Seacrest Pritchard, is we ask all of our employees to get involved in something. I feel very fortunate that I have some young people that I hired that look up to me as a mentor, like I looked up to Mr. Mamalakis. And that's what keeps me going, is to have them come to me and say, let me bounce something off of you, boss, and what do you think? And tell me what's the thing I need to get involved in. And so I think if we can invest in our young people by making time for them to get involved and encourage them to do it, that's going to assure our community is going to continue to move forward.
I think it's really special that for this first Southeast Leadership Award that it goes to somebody like Cliff, who has a lifetime of service in this community. And to be the first is a very special thing, but he embodies everything that we're trying to accomplish with this Southeast Leadership Conference, because What we're trying to do is make more Cliff McCurrys and use this as an example for the future.
Well, I think Savannah has always been in a class by itself in terms of, as a community of leadership. And you know, we have so many different facets to our economy here, between tourism and the military, the shipping, logistics industry, education. And so we're very blessed in that regard. And I think to be able to have a forum like this that attracts world-class leaders to Savannah who can share their experiences and puts another spotlight on Savannah as a leading community in our state and our country.
I'm sorry, folks, that I'm in a situation where it's hard for me to get up and down right now. As a matter of fact, I'm happy to be here, happy to be anywhere after spending a month in the hospital and a week in intensive care. But God's grace is amazing, and He's healing me, and I'm getting back. But I just can't tell you how humbled and honored I am to be recognized with something like this at the age of 73, and basically a has-been, I think, in the insurance business. But I have been so blessed to see this city grow and prosper since I came back from the University of Georgia, and it's really special for me to share this award with a fellow Armstrong Pirate and a Georgia Bulldog. And I had a chance to see the mayor's work and to see where we are today as a community. It's just been incredible. It's because he loves Savannah. Everybody that's made things happen here loves this city. You heard reference to Mr. Mamalakis in here, and you'll probably hear me say some more in a minute. But you know, my journey really, I came home my senior year of high school and found my mother on the floor when I was 17, and she died of a stroke. And the first person I called that night was Mr. Mamalakis, because he basically told me I was his third son. And he came to my apartment and got in my face that night. He said, "Son, you got two choices to make tonight. You can go through life being pissed off at the world and say, 'Why me?' Or you can say, 'I'm going to take everything my mom and dad have taught me, and I'm going to make something of myself.'" And he said, "If that's what you choose, I want to be part of it." And he certainly was. I moved in with my grandmother, but I was able to get, with Mr. Mamalakis' help, a basketball scholarship to Armstrong for my first 2 years. And after 2 years at Armstrong, I was given an opportunity to go to Georgia Southern when my wife was on a scholarship. It wasn't basketball, Kyle, but it was. But I guess I had my grades up where y'all want to take me. But I went to see Mr. Mamalakis for advice, and he said, "No, son, I want you to get away from Savannah. I want you to go to the University of Georgia." And I said, "Well, I can't afford to go to the University of Georgia." He said, "I'll guarantee the loan for you to go to the University of Georgia if you'll take some risk management and insurance courses, and if you like it, give me first shot at you." Well, I couldn't turn that down. So the die was cast as far as me coming back and joining the Mercer Insurance Agency, where I worked from the time I was 14 to 17 as the mail clerk, and all the ladies and men that were there helped teach me and expose me to the insurance business, and I love it. So along the way, I've been so blessed to work with so many great people, and to have somebody like Mr. Mamalakis who believed in me and taught me servant leadership. He was the first president of the Savannah JCs, and he insisted that all of us that worked for him get involved in the community with us. JCs, Chamber of Commerce, United Way, whatever it was. And he always reminded me that the last word of the last sentence of the JC Creed is, "Service to humanity is the best work of life." And I really believe that. I love being involved in things that I'm passionate about and trying to help people reach their goals. And it's not a quid pro quo, but being involved in this community is a wonderful thing to do for all young people. And I'm proud that we have some of our great Sterling Seacrest Pritchard associates here today. Raise your hand where you are, wherever you are. Okay, thank y'all. And David, your words are so sweet. I've never seen you talk anything like that to me about me. Yeah, well, real quick story there. When I was president of HRH of Savannah 20 years ago, I was just burned out with trying to manage a publicly held entity in Savannah, and I needed somebody to come take over for me as president. I invited David to come out to my house and have a beer one afternoon. I said, how about coming over and becoming our president? Let me kind of move to the side. And he laughed. He said, no, that ain't going to happen. But he says, I can tell you this, you and I are going to work together one day. And I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard of, because after 37 years with the same company, I felt like I'd be retiring there. And then 2 years later, David and 6 of his partners left Palmer & Kay to start Seacrest Partners. And he immediately called me and said, we want you over here. And I just said, no, I'm too old to make this change. But after Willis bought HRH, and I was being told by the Brits that I had to get out of the Rotary Club, we couldn't afford to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And I said, hell, this is the way we do business in Savannah. What's the problem with this? So David finally convinced me to come join them at Seacrest Partners. And I said, well, after 37 years in the same company and same job, I said, what's my title? He said, you'll be vice chairman. I said, well, what's my job description? He said, help us make things happen. Well, okay. I didn't know really what that meant, but I was the 13th employee at Seacrest Partners, and I'm very proud to say that today, Sterling Seacrest Pritchard is the largest privately held insurance broker in the Southeast with about 300 employees. And I'm just so proud that David let me hang around after they bought me out 5 years ago, and still have an office to go to. I'm not sure how long that office is going to be mine, because I know Nick and Ryan both have their eyes on it as well. But it's just so nice to have to be involved with a team like we have, and to still feel like I have something to bring of value. And I thank you, David, for being patient with me over the last 3 months while I've been fighting this illness. But as long as the good Lord lets me put my feet on the floor every morning, I want to do something. I don't want to quit. So thank you again. Thanks to the Mars Multimedia and all the sponsors for this, and whoever was involved in making a decision to make me a recipient. God bless you. I couldn't be more honored and humble. Thank you.
Mr. McCurry, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Our next award goes to Anna Chafin, and this recipient is the winner of the Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum inaugural Emerging Leader Award.
Chafin. I'm CEO of the Development Authority of Bryan County. I've been in my current role for just over 8 years, and I've been working in economic development for over 15 years in Southeast Georgia. When I found out I was receiving the Emerging Leader Award, a couple of words ran through my mind: surprised, humbled, and honored. For people that know me, they know that I'm all about the team. I'm not seeking individual glory or credit. And so I see this as a great opportunity, not just for myself, but for the organizations that I represent. I'm proud to be a part of the Development Authority of Bryan County. I work with a tremendous 9-person board, and I have a great team of 3 staff members that work with me day in and day out. And then also I'm honored to serve on the Savannah Harbor Interstate 16 Corridor Joint Development Authority. We'll just call it the Savannah JDA for short, and work with Tripp Tollison, Benji Thompson, and Brant Herndon on a regular basis, and just glad to be part of that team. I think it's important to also mention, related to this award, I want to thank my husband and son, because in economic development, I spend a lot of time away from home, and I'm just so thankful that they support me and they give me the respect that I need to do the job that I need to do.
I think the secret to Anna's success is her incredible determination to be competitive. She's like me. We don't want to lose. We're determined to win. We want to do everything we can, everything that's possible to win the project. And, you know, I would argue that the work or the field that we're in is probably some of the most competitive work you can find anywhere. And it is pretty awesome to watch Anna's grit and determination as she, goes through these projects. She's determined. She's excellent. She's one of the best in her field. Bryan County is the fastest growing county in the state of Georgia. And I think that folks that are paying attention in Bryan County, everyone that you talk to, especially in leadership, will say that Anna's had an incredible impact on that success. She's been a part of a lot of that growth, and it's been fun to watch.
Economic development is about relationships. It's about friendships. We work day in and day out with different groups of people. We have to host prospects. We have to make them feel comfortable. We have to make them feel welcome, as well as help prospects realize that they're making a good business decision. And it is a pleasure working with Anna Chafin because she has the personality that just makes everyone feel welcome. I've worked with Anna Chafin for over 20 years, and I've always known that there was something about her that she would just excel in her career.
So advice that I would give to leaders that are emerging or even established would be that you need to surround yourself with a core group of people. I know that I have a core group that's from different backgrounds, genders, ages, races, and those are the people that I can let my guard down with, that I can be vulnerable with, that can lift me up when I need to be lifted up. People like Andrea Schreier in Valdosta, or Benji Thompson in Statesboro, Sherry Struble with the Heritage Bank, Ralph Forbes with Thomas & Hutton, Stacy Watson with the Georgia Ports Authority. These are some of my people, and these are the people that help lift me up. So I would encourage you to have your group of people that can be there for you when you need them.
Anna is a perfectionist. Anna keeps us all on our toes. Even from 20 years ago, she's the type of person that will dot all the I's and cross all the T's and then double check and recheck. So just her professionalism and her just attitude. She is a fun person to be around, and I really enjoy hanging out with Anna Chafin.
I think advice that I like to give to people that are getting started on their leadership journey really has to do with timing. My mom's always told me, Anna, timing is everything. And so I try to live by the 24-hour rule, which means if I get an email that's going to be difficult to respond to, or I have to have a hard conversation, I try to wait 24 hours before I respond, because I want to do it in a thoughtful way. I want to sleep on it, I want to pray on it, and I want to make sure that the response that I provide has a lot of thought and time into it. But it's also a balance, because you don't want too much time to pass before having a hard conversation. When I think about mentors, I think about my parents, Mary and Richard Stager. They've instilled a lot of great characteristics in me, but I think the thing that's most important to me is my faith. I lean on that every day. It's my anchor in everything that I do, and I'm just so thankful that my parents instilled that in my life from a very young age. Also, I think about Coach Teresa Adams, my basketball coach at Glenn Academy, and she really taught me that a great work ethic is something that I will carry throughout the rest of my life, and I'm just so thankful to her for instilling that in me. And then finally, Alice Thornhill with the Georgia Department of Economic Development. She's been a mentor / fairy godmother to me for the past 10 plus years. She's been with me in the trenches in economic development and really helped me focus on work-life balance. And I'm just thankful for her mentorship and her friendship.
What Anna's done, what she's been able to achieve in such a short period of time, you know, that's leadership. It's always a positive reflection if you're asked about Anna. And, you know, that's really important when you think about somebody who's emerging.
Her energy is contagious. She will suck you in, her depth of knowledge and just her warm personality. You know, she's just a great, great person, a true professional, and I have been proud to see her and experience her flourish for the last 20 years, and there is more to come with Anna Chafin.
I think we're really on the brink of great success here in our region. We have some things that we can build on in terms of we have a solid foundation, but I think that collaboration is key. And things like this forum, that's going to help us with our collaboration. We're going to work outside of county lines, get outside of our boxes, and all come together for greater success for our entire region.
Thank you to the Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum. I really appreciate the honor. As my good friend Benji Thompson reminds me quite often, I'm not as young as I once was, so I really thank you for acknowledging me as an emerging leader. But being serious, I am sincerely appreciative to the forum for recognizing me, I'm just so blessed that I've had the opportunity to live most of my life in Southeast Georgia. I'm a product of the public school system in Glenn County, and had the opportunity to go on to Mercer University and then come back home to Southeast Georgia and live and work. And just thankful that my son, who's here with me today, he's 9 years old, he has the opportunity to grow up in Southeast Georgia, because I think that really our future is certainly very bright. I want to spend most of my time thanking my team, because I think it's important to give credit where credit's due. And first of all, I want to start with the Development Authority of Bryan County. Noah Covington's here today. He's our vice chair, and he's the former chair of the Development Authority, and he is a personal friend and also a mentor to me. So Noah, I thank you for your continued support. Also, I want to recognize some of my people who started out as professional colleagues, but they've now become personal close friends. You heard from a couple of them today. Trip Tollison, thank you so much for your kind words. I owe you for those. Thank you, sir. And Stacy Watson, like he said, we've been in the trenches together now for over 20 years, and I'm just so thankful for your friendship. Benji Thompson and Andrea Schreier, they're my buddies, and they're my go-to people when I need to talk about stuff that's going on both in my personal life and with work, when I need to bounce some ideas and things like that. So thank you for your support. I've also got one of my mentees here today, Justin Farquhar, who's the Vice President with the Development Authority of Bryan County. Thank you for letting me learn how to lead on you. Also Jessica Hood, she was here earlier, but she had to catch a plane to San Diego. She also was one of my original mentees, and I'm glad that she could participate in the forum. And then last but certainly not least, I want to thank my family. And I'm not an emotional person, as people know, but I might get a little emotional here. So first of all, to my mom and dad, Mary and Richard Stager, thank you. My son, Samuel, and my husband, Justin, they continue to show me unconditional love, and they have made me the person that I am today. So again, I'm just very thankful to the forum, to the sponsors, and really our future is so bright in this region, and we all need to get excited about what is going to come soon. So thank you again.
All right, that was great.
Yes.
Now it's time to transition to the panel discussion part of our program. Let's hear it once again for our honorees.
And we want to say once again, Anna, congratulations. Yes, yes. So over the last couple of days, last 2 days, in fact, these winners surrounded by incredible people like you in this room, in this space. You've had an opportunity to talk a lot about the differences when it comes to leadership styles, also diverse experiences that change the course of our lives, and of course, how each of us are leaders. So we just heard in Anna's video a little bit about how each of us can become leaders. But Anna, right now, we want you to give us more. We love those gems that you just dropped, but tell us, if you will, and this is for all of the winners, how would you define leadership?
For me, leadership, simply put, is inspiring others through your actions and your words. And I think that it's intentional, and it takes time and effort in order to provide a positive impact. And I know that's not a lot, but to me it just boils down to those simple ideas.
I would agree with that. I think leadership for me is having a passion to reach a goal. And to me, it's knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are, but knowing how to help an organization or an individual reach a goal that they're trying to make. And I don't think you can do that without personal relationships. Leadership to me is always about personal relationships and connectivity. And in my career, what I've enjoyed the most is helping to build a network where I can help people connect with each other to reach what they want to reach.
I want to say ditto to everything the other two awardees have said, and add the fact that in my mind, leadership is having a vision that you can communicate to others and inspire them to want to achieve the same thing you want to achieve. As I said earlier, none of us achieve anything by ourselves, but a good leader is able to inspire people and to motivate them to accept a vision that they alone cannot achieve, but they believe that together with you and others that it is achievable. So leadership is the ability to motivate others to follow, I'll say to follow a dream.
And Mayor Johnson, let's stay with you for this follow-up here. Would you say, was there a pivotal particular moment in your life that may have taught you how to be a leader, or someone in particular who led you to those skills?
Well, I don't know if there was a singular moment, but I'd just like to make the following comment very quickly. My personality and who I am today started to be formed with my grandparents, who took my brother and I under their wing after my father died and my mother was a very young woman and remarried and moved to Alabama. Were it not for them keeping us here in Savannah, I wouldn't be sitting on this stage today. Number two, I'd like to say that one of the things that created me and the fire in my belly was growing up during the period I grew up in. I said earlier that I went to segregated schools, starting at the Paulson Elementary School, which no longer exists. It was located on Joe and Paulson Street. And I grew up in the village. There's a common cliche, it takes a village to raise a child. I was living in the village, and we had neighbors who would see us and encourage us and would not allow us to stray too far from the path. And finally, I grew up in a time in 1955 when I was still in elementary school, when Emmett Till was murdered, when the Montgomery bus cart took place. And so I grew up in a turbulent period. And in that elementary school, I was taught about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and the Bill of Rights. And one of the questions we had, because I was always one of these little mannish boys who asked why, I began to ask, well, why can't I go to Crest on Broughton Street and get a hot dog? And why can't I go to the Lucas Theater and see a movie? And so the answers to those questions led me to ask why, as a citizen of this United States, being taught about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all those things, I was not able to exercise those things. And I've been hell on wheels ever since.
Mr. McCurry, at what point in your life, that pivotal moment where you began to see you needed that leadership? You noted it, in fact, in the video. Mr. Mamalakis was very near and dear to you. Can you share a little bit more about your leadership and those pivotal moments?
Sure. Well, the pivotal moment, obviously, was the night he got in my face and challenged me. And just to know at that point in time, which was probably the lowest point in my life, that there was somebody there to help me, that believed in me. That was a pivotal moment. And I would have done anything for that man. I just didn't want to let him down. And after I came back to Savannah and started working in the agency, a lot of people in this room are old enough to remember Nick Mamalakis, but I know Otis does. But no man that I've ever met in this community was more behind the scenes making things happen than he was. And he didn't want recognition. He was so politically connected. He and Sam Nunn were best friends. Jimmy Carter appointed him to the World Congress Center. He was on the Archdiocesan Council Church of the Great Church. And, you know, it would be nothing for me to be sitting in his office and have the phone ring and the secretary would say the White House is calling. And it would be President Ford, President Johnson, wanting him to come to Washington to meet with him on the Greek-Cyprus tensions that were there, along with the Archbishop. And You know, I found pictures in the office of him rolled up with him having dinner at the White House with 2 or 3 different presidents. And I said, boss, why don't you have these pictures on the wall? He said, oh, that doesn't mean anything. I said, my God, I don't know anybody else has done this, you know. But that's the kind of man he was. He didn't want recognition. He just wanted to help people. And when his daughter got married, the Archbishop of the Greek Church flew to Savannah on his private jet to perform the ceremony. That's the kind of man he was. And probably the most incredible thing, and I think this is a great example of servant leadership, is at the age of 88, a retired insurance salesman received the Ellis Island Medal of Honor Award at the base of the Statue of Liberty with Hillary Clinton, astronaut John Glenn, and Chief Justice William Rehnquist. And he was nominated for this award by the mayor of San Francisco, who was a Greek, who knew what Nick had done in this country to help others. And so as far as a pivotal moment, with him, almost every day was a pivotal moment, because I saw him doing things that it wasn't putting money in his pocket. It wasn't putting money in our agency. It was doing things to help other people. And he just made you want to be involved in helping people and doing service. So all I can say is I know God put him in my life for a reason, and I wouldn't have been able to accomplish anything that I've been able to accomplish if I hadn't had somebody like that believed in me. Thank you.
We want to stay with you for a moment, and you touched on mentorship. You touched on how you were the benefactor of that, how you've passed it on. I'm curious, as you may know from watching the local news here, or we tend to get folks right out of college, which is great. That means we get to make more money. But they don't always appreciate the guidance we're trying to give them, or that we are asked to give them. So what was it about you that you wanted to take that baton and run with it? What is it about mentorship?
Well, first of all, I love working with young people and talking with young people. My wife and I had the ability and the privilege of endowing the Nick Mamalakis Emerging Leader Program at Armstrong 2 years before he died. And he had a chance to speak to these freshmen and sophomores about leadership, and he had always had great stories. And so that program has continued today, thanks to Dr. Marrero on the Armstrong campus. And I have had the privilege of going back every year and speaking to the class. And they show a video of Nick's life, which is very inspiring. But I've also, I've recently been on the University of Georgia Foundation. I'm a trustee of the University of Georgia Foundation, as well as the Terry College of Business. And so I've been invited to come back and speak to students on the subject of mentoring. And my message to them, as well as the students at Armstrong, is when you're going to get a great job because you're coming out of a great education program, but don't be looking for money. Don't let that be your motivator. When you're talking to somebody across the desk, make sure the person you're talking to that wants you to come join them really believes in you, and that you can count on them to be there, not to teach you to be like them, but again, to be the best you can be. One of the things that Mr. Mamalakis always talked about was, we always have to recognize we're all born differently. Some of us are pretty, some of us aren't. Some of us are smart, some of us aren't. Some of us can jump high and run fast, some of us can't. But know who you are first. Know who you are, and be looking to have somebody that wants to take who you are and not to make you better than the next person, but be a better person than you were yesterday. And I was blessed to have that, and that's what I enjoy speaking to students about, is make sure that whoever you're going to work with really wants you to win and is there to help you win and learn how to win.
Okay. Anna, this question is for you. We know that a lot of people, many people, want to be leaders, but in my belief, you also should be a follower, because that is how you learn. To those who are aspiring, many in this room today, to become those great leaders, what would you say to them in terms of what not to do as they embark on their journey to leadership?
Well, I think that the best advice that I could give about what not to do, it's actually a conversation that I had with Terry Lemons at the break. Don't overextend yourself. I found that early in my career, like my mom would sometimes say, I don't like to get off the merry-go-round. I like to just keep going and going and going, and I would maybe agree to do more than I should do, and it would affect my home life, it would affect my work life in terms of my extracurricular activities, which I do believe extracurricular activities are tremendous for your growth as a leader. And that's advice that I would give, is to find a way to get involved and get a leadership role. But if you're doing too many things, you're not going to do any of them well. So I would recommend that you pick a couple of core things that you can focus your time and attention on and do those very well. And on the flip side, in terms of what I think you should do, I mentioned extracurricular activities. I would encourage you to get involved in civic groups and clubs, organizations, because that's really where I cut my teeth as a leader. For instance, with the Georgia Economic Developers Association back 15 years ago, Peggy Jolly, who's a mentor of mine, she retired from Georgia Power. She was chairing GEDA at the time, and she asked me to serve as the Special Service Awards Chair. And I thought that would be a great way for me to get involved. Well, little did I know that that service as a committee chair would lead to me serving several terms on the board, and then being asked to be an officer within the organization, and then chairing the organization back in 2017. So I think that's just an example of how you can get involved actively in an organization, you can really grow through the ranks, and you can get some great leadership experience.
So in your role, you get to work with folks all over our region, all over the world, really. So can you speak a little to what you may have noticed about effective leadership styles that you've witnessed based on what you see both here and internationally?
Sure. So I've had, as you mentioned, a tremendous opportunity in my 15-plus year career in economic development to travel to Europe, to travel to California, to travel to Chicago. So I've got to interface with a lot of different people. I would say a couple of them certainly have stood out in my mind, one of them being Dimitri Dukin with Medline Industries. And several years ago, they were looking to locate a distribution center in this market. And so Medline manufactures medical supplies, and they're based out of Northfield, Illinois. And so we met with Dimitri in the region. He came and indicated an interest in the Savannah market. We were competing with South Carolina at the time. And Dimitri's just a very likable person. You approach him well, you meet him well, he develops trust early. And that's important for me, is in order to put a deal together, I like to develop trust because it makes it go quicker, makes it go easier. Dimitri's also very transparent in his leadership style. And so what we were able to accomplish quickly was we put a deal together that worked well for the company, the community, the landowner, and the state of Georgia. And basically he said, this is where you need to be in order to make this deal happen. And we got the partners together and we made it happen. And Dimitri's somebody that I still, when he calls me, I get excited because he is uplifting. Justin and I talk about that all the time. We get a call from Dimitri and he just is an encourager. And I think that's an important trait of a leader, is to be an encourager. So I really appreciate the influence that Dimitri has had on my life. And then another person I think about is Brent Miles with North Point Development. 5 years ago, he came to us with a deal for the Spreetail project, which is an e-commerce facility that located in Interstate Center 2. And Brent is a former economic developer, and so he speaks the language, and we were also able to develop trust pretty easily in the process. Noah and Justin and I traveled up to Missouri to see some of their product, and we were actually looking at 2 different projects on this piece of property, and so we needed to make a decision, and we needed to make the right decision. And so we struck a deal on the tarmac with a handshake. And Brent promised me that if we chose them, that they would make the deal happen, and we had some twists and turns along the way. But he stood by his word, and I respect him and I honor him for that because, again, he was transparent and he did what he said he was going to do.
Well, we deal, of course, every day with constant change. It's changing on the second, on the minute for newscasters, for journalists, for broadcasters. And I'm just wondering, as you look out into this room, this is to all of you, what would you say to the leaders here today about the rapidly changing, pretty much at lightning speed, those changes in technology? How can they keep up? What's your advice to them? We'll start with you, Mayor Johnson. Or Mr. McCurry, go ahead, you have the mic.
Well, I was just going to say, I guess I am the old man up here. Well, we're close, but anyway, growing up in the insurance business, in my old agency, Jones Hill Mercer, we did a lot of work with Lloyd's of London. And You know, today we can call a number on our phone and we got somebody. We used to have to use a telex machine to send a message to England, to London, to try to get an answer on some insurance program that we were trying to put together. And I just remember so many times being told they're on holiday. Well, on holiday meant they were gone for 4 or 5 days, and they didn't care what the hell you were working on. You know, nobody else was going to be able to help you. And then I remember the first time I saw a fax go through. I just thought that was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Wow, you know, instant. And then we started with the bag phones before we ended up with these handheld things. And so, you know, it's amazing to think how easy it is now to get information instantly, to communicate instantly. In fact, right now, Jamie we had a young man that studied with us back when he was in high school from Russia on a church mission trip named Vladimir Varsikov. And he and I are communicating daily on what he's hearing from his side, what we're hearing from our side. And what it does prove, in all due respect, is the media controls everything. Because the Russian media's got their story and we have our story. But anyway, I guess the point is that technology can be so helpful in so many ways, but I don't think anything will ever take the place of personal relationships. And a face-to-face conversation with somebody or somebody on the phone, to me, that is that's the best. And getting back again to Mr. Mamalakis, one of the things that he was so well known for was his handwritten notes to people. When he'd see somebody in the paper, he'd been promoted or even a marriage or a death, whatever, you could count on getting a handwritten note from Nick Mamalakis. And I can tell you today, and I tell these students this when I get a chance to talk to them, I said, you know, you're going to be interviewing with some great companies. You're going to have lots of job opportunities. But you got to remember, you're competing with the people next to you that are just as smart and just as, you know, pretty as you are. But if you want to make yourself stand out, send a handwritten note to the person that interviewed you. Because to me, that always blows me away when somebody's taking the time to do that. And now we're not even teaching children how to write cursive. But anyway, I just think there's nothing that will ever take place of personal relationships. And that's how people gain trust in you, they believe in you, and they want to do business with you. So nothing will ever take place of personal relationships, in my opinion.
Thank you. And by the way, I still write notes too. I think it's amazing just to connect with people, and I love it. So, wow.
Well, I just want to remind folks that I grew up when we had the phones and we had party lines.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know anything about party lines. When we used to pick up the phone and listen to other people's conversations, all that stuff. And now I've got this. All of the knowledge that has ever been developed in the history of the world, I can access from my cell phone. That tells you how much has changed from the rotary phone to this. So my advice, find a young person who knows what to do with these things. Because old folks like me are not that apt, but they can help you out. So find a young person younger than you and attach yourself to them. The second thing is to go and support what my two colleagues have said. You cannot beat personal relationships. And even with all of the technology we have, we need to continue to develop those personal relationships because, for example, a person like me does not trust very easily because of my experience. But when I get to know you and I know what's here, I can trust you, and then we can develop the kind of relationship that we can build on. So find a young person to help you with this technology and know that personal relationships are at the root of all human development. Thank you.
Yes, make that connection. Thank you. And I do want to say this as well, because I'm kind of backpedaling. I'm listening to what you're saying, and it just makes me think about my almost 20-year-old. Every time I ask her, Celine, can you help me with this on my phone? Mom, you mean you don't know how to do that? No, show me. Show me how to do it. I just think that with young people today, they are, of course, imaginative. They are smart. They are great. And I'm taking every ounce, every lesson that I can.
Okay. Anna, do you want to chime in on that?
Well, I would certainly echo what both of these gentlemen have said, and even though I'm the youngest by age on this panel, I'm probably the most low-tech of the bunch. I don't have a Facebook, so I'm not very in touch with social media. I have a LinkedIn and an Instagram, but I think my advice would be you want to have people on your team that can keep up with technology. I know Justin and Taylor, our project manager, they've been working over the past year to get us more of a robust social media presence. So we now have a Facebook for the Development Authority of Bryan County. Go check us out, please. But really, my advice is, like they've said, those close personal relationships and that networking that you do in person, it can't be replicated with technology, but technology is essential to our business and to our lives. I think we've seen with the pandemic, it's forced us to do even more things through technology, but just have people on your team that can help you stay in touch and keep up with the changes that are going on.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you all. This has been a great panel. We want to say that your impact on the community and your leadership styles are a great example for everyone here today. We thank you for your unending dedication to our community. Can we appreciate our panel today?
And at this time, it's my pleasure to welcome back to the stage Mr. Charles Hill Morris Jr., the chairman of the Southeast Georgia Leadership Forum.
Well, congratulations again, Mayor Johnson, Cliff McCurry, and Anna Chafin. Thank you so much for being here, for being selected, and all you have done to make our community successful and continue to do to make our community successful. We are so grateful. Thank you. So this concludes us. Wow, what an amazing day and a half. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your energy, your enthusiasm. Please give us feedback through the surveys. Please take the time to do that. You're going to get one more tomorrow about the totality of this. We need that feedback. Any of you all that want to get involved, there will be a checkbox in that survey that says, I want to be a part of this thing. Sign me up, coach, put me in. Absolutely, we want you there. Couple of other things real quick. Some of you have asked who did the food. I think we should applaud for Arsley Station. They did an extraordinary job. The last thing is, some of you said, sign me up. I want to come again next year. When's it going to be? Stay tuned. That's going to be announced in about a week. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Great being with everybody. Take care.